If ever we're disturbed by grief for a loved one or the prospect of our own death, Sri Krishna here shares such loving and comforting words. In chapter 2 in the Gita, he says, "He alone, the unchangeable spirit, pervades all and is imperishable. Nothing can destroy his eternal reality. The indwelling self is ever changeless, imperishable, and without limitation. Only these fleshy garments can be destroyed. The self is not born, nor does it perish. Self-existent, it continues its existence forever. It is birthless, eternal, changeless, and ever the same. The self is not slain when the body dies. Just as a person removes a worn-out garment and dons a new one, so the soul, living in a physical body, removes and discards it when it becomes outworn and replaces it with a new one. Weapons cannot cut the soul. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot drown it. Wind cannot wither it away. The soul is never touched. It is immutable, all-pervading, calm, unshakable. Its existence is eternal." In so many different ways here, Sri Krishna tells us that we are not at all. We're much greater than we appear to be to our human eyes. We are that undying soul having a temporary human experience. And we want to remind ourselves of that eternal inner freedom that's ours, and live in that consciousness more and more. It's like the gas burner in your kitchen. We see just the individual flames of the burner. We don't see underneath that one unifying source of all of the gas. And likewise, we live these unique and seemingly separate lives, not seeing the one divine source underneath all of them. I'm always interested in descriptions of the astral world, where we go between lives. That chapter in the Autobiography of a Yogi, the resurrection of Sri Yukteswar, or accounts of people with near-death experiences who've come back to describe just where they went. And recently I watched an interview with a man who remembered very vividly the astral world through much of his childhood, and then gradually he forgot. And Yoganandaji says that taking on a new incarnation to him was like wearing a heavy overcoat on a hot day. And then gradually we get used to it. And this man also was saying that being born on earth was like wearing a heavy weight and feeling his soul more and more constricted. And we forget that inner freedom that we once had. And this man remembered being in his mother's womb. And he was overcome with emotion when he described this. He said, "The great Spirit of God came to me there, expanding my consciousness back out for a moment into the deepest love and bliss. God told him, "This is what you are. You can never be anything else." And he felt so relieved that he hadn't lost this expanded awareness. And this is what we all are. We're beings of love. And we're tiny, tiny drops in God's vast ocean. And the Persian poet Rumi said that even within each one of those drops, the mighty ocean is also contained. That is the same substance. The individual, infinite soul has all of God's power within it, each soul. Sister Gyanamata said that from the day that she first met Yoganandaji, that she felt that she had always lived in his vibration and his consciousness. I remember the first day that I visited Ananda village. I felt more at home there than any home I had known before that. When we see and recognize that divine light, then we need to live more in that light because we know what it is. And with energy and enthusiasm, we need to claim the soul's freedom as our own freedom. We just said an affirmation, repeating in a loud voice, and then more softly bringing it into the subconscious, and then only silently, very inwardly, bringing it into that superconscious freedom where the soul lives. And in the same way, when we chant together, instead of listening passively only, we can also chant in a loud voice, clap our hands, and let the music vibrate within you. Once Yoganandaji was leading a kirtan with a mridanga, and one disciple, Dr. Lewis, by nature he was very reserved, rather prim and proper, and the heavy beat of the drum just disturbed him. It made him feel uncomfortable. And Yoganandaji said, "Get into it, doctor." He said the drum's vibration helps dissolve and break up the energy, the locked energy at the base of the spine. He said, whip up the heart's feelings and then direct that feeling toward God as devotion. And then you can gradually go more and more inward, more and more silent with that chant, until it continues all by itself within you. Allow God to touch you through that vibration. Krishna says elsewhere, perform every action in the thought of me. If you cannot do even that, if you can't act with a sense of inner calm, with a sense of inner freedom, if you can't do that, then give me your intentions. Just such a sweet and loving command. And he's saying, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't expect to get it perfect right now. That while we're learning, more important than the act itself is our intention. Swamiji said, patience means to keep the compass of your intention ever pointed toward the pole star of high purpose, no matter how many influences intrude to deflect it. And so the next time we feel tempted to fear or get angry, just remember, as Krishna said, the soul is never touched. It is all pervading, calm, unshakable. And we can choose to identify with the passing emotion or identify with the eternal freedom of the soul. Thank you.
There's a book called Kinship with All Life. And it's a book about a man who has wonderful experiences with animals and nature. And I've read some excerpts from it. I haven't read the whole book, or I read it very long time ago, but just recently read a couple excerpts. There's a story about this man, J. Allen Booth, I think his name is. Everybody knew he loved animals and wanted to commune with animals. So somebody told him about a clearing in a forest where monkeys would come. Of course, here we see them quite often. In US, they're not around very much. So he went to this clearing and he sat and he waited. And suddenly a big monkey dropped down from a tree right next to him. And he just gave thoughts of love and friendship to this big monkey. And suddenly, all the other monkeys dropped down. And the clearing was filled with monkeys. There were mother monkeys, teenager monkeys, baby monkeys. And they were all just looking at him, but then having their little lives that they do. So he was there communing with this great number of monkeys, when suddenly, all at once, they all looked to the south. And then immediately all turned and ran to the north, all of them. So he was just sitting then in this empty clearing, like, what happened? So he continued to sit there thinking the monkeys will come back. 3 hours later, a group of men hunting monkeys, came into the clearing and asked him, did you see any monkeys? And he didn't really answer and show where the monkeys went, but he said, when did you decide to go hunting? He said, 3 hours ago. So those monkeys could feel the intention of the hunters as they left their house. And we think about our thoughts and our own intentions and just what a difference they make within ourselves and also to others. When you think you throw a stone into a pond and then it just ripples out, right? So we're the stone, that thought is the stone dropping in. It affects us the most, and yet it ripples out and affects others also. And it can affect us most seriously because Swami Kriyananda said that the energy flow is strongest at its source. So think of our healing prayers. Many of us here do healing prayers. And so we ourselves become the instruments for Divine Mother to share light and love to people who need our prayers. And so we are the ones who are blessed with that divine light, with that divine energy flowing through us. That energy is coming first through us, and then we share it to others. So the same opposite would be true. If we were sending negative, judgmental, harmful, critical thoughts to others, where is the energy flow for those thoughts strongest? Within us. So who's it going to hurt the most? It's going to hurt us. And, you know, Jesus Christ said, judge not, lest ye be judged. And he said, you know, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. So that same measure with which we judge and criticize and blame others, that exact same measure comes back and affects us. And it keeps us in the prison of our delusions. But on the other hand, if we're having the opposite, loving, wonderful thoughts, it can give us the freedom that we're looking for. And when we think of, let's say, somebody that does something bad from us, steals from us, is greedy, is mean to us, you know, we think we have the right to be mean. We have the right to be mad. We have the right to be judgmental. Look how they're acting. But we have to think, maybe this person, is immature, is like a 5-year-old. If a 5-year-old kid yelled at you, how badly will you judge them? You think this kid doesn't know what he's doing. But if it's an adult, he may have the maturity of a 5-year-old. Many do. And yet we judge. Because he's an adult, suddenly we judge, we condemn them. We said, this man doesn't know what he's doing. And who is hurt the most from that? So, and why? When we judge others, how is it that it affects us so badly? Yes, it's the source of the energy, but it's because when we judge them, we're thinking they're separate from God. They're not perfect. They have all these problems. They don't know what they're doing. And how does that reflect what our own inner thought is? It is possible to be separate from God. It is possible to not be kind. It is possible to be separated and not loved by God. And because I feel that it's possible not to be loved by God and separated from God, therefore when somebody does something, I react. If I feel completely loved by God and bliss with His presence, if this 5-year-old consciousness is nipping at my heels, am I going to change my awareness, my energy flow, my vibration because this little 5-year-old is nipping at my ankles and hurt my own connection with God with that? So let's not let that energy flow through us. You know, we chanted this morning, Sri Yogananda, guide to inner freedom, steal into my heart of heart and banish my delusions. You know, banish the fact that I think I'm separate from that 5-year-old biting at my heel. And inner freedom, attune myself to what will bring me inner freedom. You know, Swami Kriyananda, I think we all know, like at the fair last Sunday, we serve others, we love others unconditionally. We feel this joy when we serve. And when we feel more and more joy, we want to serve more. And so as we're feeling joy, we can share joy with others. So all of this love and this joy flowing through us, doesn't it make us happy? Don't we want to be happy? When I think of Swami Kriyananda, many of us were immature 5-year-olds. And he would see us only in the highest light. He would always see us as perfect children of God, flowing with divine energy. And therefore he would uplift us and change us. You know, just walking in the park here, I feel like, you know, we walk by the people who are some of the laborers, the labor women and their children that are working in the forest, and just saying namaste ji, walking by. They're so surprised that somebody's saying that to them, and their faces just light up and shine. It's like, how hard is it to just bless people and to say hello and to smile? Master would say, be a smile millionaire. And Master said to Rajasi, commune with God and feel that union, that oneness that you have with the divine. Because when you have that vibration of oneness, you will also just vibrate that vibration of oneness to others. So in our lives, when people are biting at our heels, when karma is coming to us, then we have to understand, how are we going to reply? Because the vibration and the energy that we put out in response is going to determine our future. Determine our future karma. And that future will be either towards ever increasing inner freedom and oneness in God, or it will be ever increasing delusion behind bars, you know, and unhappiness and feeling of separation. So the quality of the energy that flows through us, the quality of our consciousness, is the only thing we will be able to take with us at the end of this life. When we change our overcoats, when we change our bodies, we won't be able to bring anything that we have gathered to ourselves. We won't be able to bring the children. We won't be able to bring the house, the money, the cars. None of that will come. What will come is the quality of our consciousness and our energy. So, good news is that we can change our consciousness. We can change our energy. If we were to leave right now, we might think, oh. But we can always change our consciousness. And that is the tools of this path, is to change our consciousness. When we think of meditation, level 1, we have a level 1 right after this satsang. What's the first thing we learn? Hong Sa. What's the purpose of Hong Sa? Get to stillness. Get to the source of who we are. We breathe every day, all day long. Do we think of the source of our life? You know, we get back to the breath, get back to the stillness, and that will help us remember who we are. We are at that stillness at the center of creation. Practice Om. Who are we? We are vibration of Om. This entire creation is the vibration of Om. That's who we are. When we're energy, we're flows of energy, energization exercises, Kriya. We are uplifted consciousness. We are bliss, eternal. And that is why we practice, because it helps us to change our energy and our consciousness. If we're having a bad day, if we're having a mood, if suddenly we've judged somebody, let's use the tools that these great ones took an incarnation to teach us. That's our job as chelas. And let's make that a priority. What else is more important? Our consciousness and our energy. Nothing else will come with us. So let's make that a priority. We are. You're sitting here on a Sunday morning, you have made it a priority. But we can make it more of a priority, like every minute of the day. Just think, where's my energy? Where's my consciousness? Set your phone alarm. Where's my consciousness right now? Set it once a day. What was I thinking about? Where's my consciousness? And we can be so grateful for this life, even though karma is coming to us, even though we have to learn and grow. You know, we magnetize the things we need to learn. And things seem very difficult sometimes. But that's because we drew it so we can put out the energy, overcome that obstacle, and get closer and closer to God. And this life, we have been given a body with a nervous system that can reach union with God, that can experience moksha, that can have enlightenment. We have the nervous system to do that. Let's not waste this opportunity. Keshava read Krishna's quote, I am changeless, I am eternal, I am deathless. When Ananda Ma was with Master in 1936, I think it was, she said to him, Father, he asked her about her life, Father, there is little to tell. My consciousness has never associated itself with this temporary body. Before I came to this earth, Father, I was the same. I grew into womanhood, but still, I was the same. When the family in which I had been born made arrangements to have this body married, I was the same. And Father, in front of you now, I am the same. Even afterwards, to the dance of creation, though the dance of creation changes all around me in the hall of eternity, I shall be the same. God bless you.